The sound of metal hitting the floor echoed through the gleaming kitchen of the five-star restaurant La Marque. The air grew heavy, every gaze turned toward a gray-haired man in a spotless white chef's coat, a Michelin star badge glinting on his chest. Richard Allen. He stood before a long counter, where a dish lay shattered after being thrown down. His voice cut through the silence, cold, sharp, and dripping with contempt. "Do you really think this garbage deserves to be served to my guests?" The target of his humiliation, Malik Carter, a 22-year-old black man, stood frozen in place. He had only been working as a kitchen assistant for 3 weeks. His jacket still bore a smear of sauce he had not yet wiped off, and in his eyes, the reflection of the kitchen flames burned with pride that had just been trampled. Richard stepped closer, leaning in, his tone low but sharper than ever. "People like you belong at the dish pit, not at the stove. Do not even dream of cooking here." Silence fell. The air seemed to freeze along with the scent of burnt cocoa sauce lingering in the air. Malik did not respond. He bent down, carefully picking up each broken shard of porcelain, his hands trembling slightly, but his eyes strangely calm. Across the room, Emma, a young waitress, stood frozen. She had worked at La Marque for 3 years, had seen plenty of unfairness, but never had she felt silence this heavy. Malik looked up, meeting her gaze. It was not a look of pleading, nor anger. It was calm, terrifyingly calm, as if he already knew this was only the beginning. The camera slowly pulled back, leaving behind Richard's retreating figure, his footsteps echoing coldly against the tiled floor. Malik remained on his knees among the broken pieces, the flicker of the kitchen fire reflected in his eyes, a light that refused to go out. A soft narrator's voice broke the silence, almost like a prophecy. But what he did not know was that the young man he just humiliated had once cooked for people he could only dream of meeting. Malik Carter was born in the south side of Chicago, the neighborhood where the narrow alleys always smelled of frying oil and smoke from food stands. His old, creaky home was also a small restaurant called Lucille's Kitchen, run by his mother, Lucille Carter, a brilliant chef who had been pushed out of the industry simply because of the color of her skin. From a young age, Malik grew up with the sound of sizzling pans and the fragrance of African spices blending with European herbs. He learned to taste each layer of flavor with his heart, not a recipe. His mother always said, "Son, food does not have to look beautiful. It just has to be real." Those words became the compass that guided Malik's entire life. With his natural talent and relentless effort, he earned a full scholarship to the New York Culinary Institute, one of the most prestigious culinary schools in America. There, he was not only the only black student in his class but also ranked among the top 10 students of the year. But the world outside was not as welcoming to someone who came from nothing. Despite his skill, Malik was repeatedly rejected from restaurants, not because of his ability, but because people saw his skin before they saw his talent. When La Marque, a symbol of European fine dining in New York, accepted him as a kitchen intern, Malik thought his dream had finally come true. But within weeks, he learned a harsh truth. In a place where flavor was supposed to be sacred, prejudice was still the main ingredient in every decision. And amid the clatter of knives, the shouts, and the condescending glances, Malik kept cooking quietly, steadily, as if every dish he made was a silent answer to every injustice he and his mother had ever endured. One weekday evening, the kitchen at La Marque was buzzing more than usual. Richard Allen was holding a meeting with the management team to discuss the upcoming National Culinary Challenge, a competition that could spread the restaurant's name across the entire country if they won. Tension filled the room as the senior chefs argued loudly over ideas for the signature dish. Then Richard, half joking but mostly condescending, said, "Let the new kitchen boy make a dessert. At least it might make me laugh." The whole kitchen burst into laughter. Malik said nothing. He simply nodded and moved toward the prep station. He took out a bit of cocoa from West Africa, some charred orange peel, and a few sprigs of French herbs, ingredients no one thought could ever go together. While everyone else kept joking around, Malik worked in silence, measuring each gram of powder, stirring each small circle in the pot. The firelight reflected in his eyes, focused, gentle, yet powerful. When the dessert was finally brought out, the laughter stopped. The aroma filled the air, sweet yet deep, as if telling a story. On the plate, a smooth cocoa sauce surrounded a piece of caramelized orange mousse, touched with drops of rosemary essence. Malik called it cocoa harmony. Emma was the first to taste it. She froze, eyes wide open. "Oh my God, this flavor! I have never tasted anything like this." At that very moment, a special guest, an anonymous food critic, was touring the kitchen and asked to taste the dish. After one bite, he said quietly, "This is a dessert I will remember for the rest of my life." Richard frowned, took a spoon, and tasted it himself. The bittersweet flavor melted on his tongue, precise, balanced, perfect. But instead of admiration, he slammed the spoon onto the counter. "Impossible! Whose recipe did you steal?" Malik met his gaze, his voice calm and steady. "The recipe came from my mother. She taught me that true flavor never needs words to prove itself." The kitchen fell into complete silence. Richard turned away, but in his eyes burned a spark of jealousy, the most dangerous emotion in the culinary world, where ego often outweighs truth. After that night, cocoa harmony became the talk of the restaurant. VIP guests kept asking for it, and soon the media began to take notice of Lamarck. But strangely, no one mentioned Malik's name. In the official submission form for the National Culinary Challenge, the name written under that dessert was Richard Allen. Malik discovered it while cleaning the storage room. On Richard's office desk lay a copy of the competition file, the words, "Chef Richard Allen," printed boldly beneath the photo of cocoa harmony. He stood there in silence. Not angry, not loud, just a deep, bitter disappointment, like the final taste of dark cocoa lingering on the tongue. Richard even boasted to the press, "The inspiration for this dish came from one of my trips to Africa. I call it a harmony of culture and art." While he smiled proudly for the cameras, Malik stayed quietly in the background, washing dishes and chopping vegetables as if he did not exist. But Emma, the only person who knew the truth, could not bear it any longer. She whispered, "You cannot let him take everything from you." Malik smiled softly. "Truth does not need to argue, Emma, it only needs time to be seen." And then he acted. Malik sent an email to the competition committee, attaching the original recipe, screenshots of the kitchen's cooking log, and footage from the security camera, clearly showing him preparing cocoa harmony from start to finish. The competition reached its televised finale. The stage glittered with lights, and the audience filled every seat. Richard appeared in his crisp white chef's uniform, smiling confidently as the host introduced him. The creator of this year's sensational dessert, Chef Richard Allen. But just as the award for Best Innovative Dish was about to be announced, the lights suddenly changed color. The giant LED screen behind the stage flickered on, displaying the words, "Original video, preparation of cocoa harmony." The entire hall fell silent. On the screen, frame by frame, Malik appeared, stirring the pot of cocoa, carefully sprinkling herbs. There was no Richard anywhere in sight. The host froze in confusion. Then, a voice rose from the front row. Lucille Carter, Malik's mother, stood up in a sleek suit under the blinding lights. "That young man is my son, and he is the one who created the dish you have been applauding." The audience erupted. Cameras panned quickly to Richard, his face pale and stiff. The committee stepped onto the stage, their voices firm. "The true creator of cocoa harmony is Malik Carter." Applause thundered through the hall. Malik stood and walked to the stage under the bright lights, yet his eyes showed no triumph. He took the microphone, his voice calm and steady. "I do not need a title. I only want people to remember, flavor has no color." The hall went completely silent. Then came a wave of applause that would not stop. And Richard, the man who once threw Malik's dish to the floor, could only bow his head before a flavor he could never create. The taste of truth. After that night, Malik Carter's name exploded across the media. Newspapers that once praised Richard now changed their tone, questioning his professional integrity. Within a week, Richard Allen was stripped of his titles, lost million-dollar sponsorships, and faced an official investigation by the Culinary Association. The man who once stood proudly in a shining kitchen became nothing more than a memory, a monument toppled by his own blind pride. As for Malik, the young man once called the dishwasher, he was invited by the competition board to become the youngest culinary advisor in the event's history. When he signed the contract, he simply said, "I just want to help people like my mother, like myself, cook in kitchens without borders." Emma, the waitress who had believed in him from the very start, burst into tears when she saw his name on the morning news. A few weeks later, Malik came to find her. He smiled gently and said, "I am starting a new kitchen team. I need people who believe in flavor, not skin color. Would you like to join?" Emma nodded without hesitation. At the final press conference of the competition, Lucille Carter stood beside her son. When a reporter asked how she felt about his victory, she spoke slowly, each word cutting through the air like a knife. He did not win by seeking revenge. He won because the flavor of truth is always stronger than the taste of a lie. The entire room rose to their feet, the applause echoing endlessly. A tribute not just to a dish, but to a generation buried under prejudice finally breaking free. Richard left the restaurant in silence. And Malik, rather than celebrating, returned to the small kitchen where it had all begun. He wiped the counter, lit the stove, and smiled, because he knew justice, like true flavor, shines brightest when cooked with perseverance and dignity. The year after that event, the name Malik Carter was no longer just known in culinary magazines. He was invited to speak at schools, where young black students looked up at him with eyes full of hope, just like his own once were. Malik founded the Harmony Kitchen Institute, a small culinary academy in the heart of Chicago, where teenagers could learn to cook for free. But this place was not about training chefs. Malik taught them something deeper. Every dish is a story about overcoming prejudice, and every flavor is a chance to change someone's perspective. In his kitchen, there were no spotless white uniforms, no ranks or titles, only the aroma of belief, and hands of every color cooking and laughing together. As for Richard Allen, the man who once stood at the top of the culinary world, he now taught basic cooking classes in suburban New Jersey. In a rare interview, he simply said, "I once mocked a dish, and that dish taught me what humility means." On television, Malik appeared on the show Top Young Innovators, standing under the bright lights. When the host asked about his philosophy, he replied, "No one can cook justice, but we can create flavors that make people see the world differently." The audience rose to their feet in applause, and the narrator's voice returned, soft but profound. If you have ever been underestimated, remember this: success is the sweetest dish when served cold. Follow the channel for more stories about resilience, faith, and justice, cooked straight from the human heart.